Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another great arcade game pinball machine video for you today. We have been working on this Space Odyssey for a long time, and today we're finally going to finish it up. So in this video you will see us do the minor little troubleshooting things after we got everything clean and working, and also you'll see us repair the back glass. So enjoy the video. Okay, so while it's in game over, the match light is supposed to be on. We checked and the match is turned on. This is the little thing that controls the match. And after wiggling it a little bit, the lights would come on and off. So this part over here is what actually lights up the light bulb. And there's a little, two little arms that stick out and touch the little thing that we cleaned. And so I took that off and retensioned them a little bit so that they stick out a little bit better. And it made the match lights start working. So let's see here. I'll try to see if I can advance it. Can you see it? Yeah, there we go. So it's lighting up a different match light every time it goes through. So we fixed the match part. So next up, we'll fix the bulbs on the playfield. Alright, for the light bulbs, very simple. I just started the game with the playfield up and advanced the bonus thing until I got to the 5 that wasn't working. Excuse me, messed with the socket a little bit, and it ended up being that the brand new bulb was bad. So I put in another brand new bulb and now it works, and I went through all of them work. I also went through all of these, all of them worked. The 5000 one was a little dim, but I just turned the socket a little bit. It made a little better ground, and the 5000 one lit up good. And this one right here, the 500 when lit that wasn't lighting up, I just turned the socket a little bit. Same thing, it wasn't making a very good ground. What happens is the sockets dry out over the years, and so let me find a good little, right there, where the socket touches this metal bracket. Basically, it's just a press fit. And that dries out over the years and actually gets a little bit of corrosion in between it. So if you turn the socket, it kind of gets rid of the oxidation or what, oxidization or whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Say that 3 times real fast. Oxidization, is that right? On it, and it makes it light up like it's supposed to. So that's what was going on with this. And then already did the match bulbs. Oh, and the bonus at 1000 on the ball start, it's supposed to do that. If you look online, everybody else's does that, so that's how it's designed. So the only thing we have left is the pop bumpers do not work, and I'm going to be doing a lot of work on those anyways because I have to get them going. So they actually operate from this DC stuff up here, the little bridge rectifier and everything. So I'm going to do a little research on that and then figure out what's going on. I'll report back with my findings. Okay, we've got it running again, and I've got a game started. I've got the playfield up. You can see the motor moving. That's that noise you're hearing. And I was able to get my pop bumpers working. So basically, looking on the schematic, they are ran by a bridge rectifier up at the top. And so this is the bridge rectifier, which is this really old setup, and one of the lugs was coming out of the inside of it. So basically, it wasn't shorted or anything. It was actually physically damaged. So I replaced it with a new bridge rectifier, new style one, because they don't make that style anymore, and I wired it up. I cleaned the switches on the, it's kind of hard to get to them. I cleaned the switches on the pop bumpers up in there, and got it where they're making good contact. You'll see them arc a little bit, but basically I can hit the skirt now, which connects the 2 switches. See the little spark? It makes it work, and the other one. So we have our pop bumpers working. You know what that means, folks. That was the last thing that I had on my little checklist. So everything works now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm still going to take the pop bumpers apart and replace the little fender skirt with a nice new one, and I'm going to put new pop bumper caps on it just to make it look a little nice. So that's cosmetic. I still have to do some cosmetic stuff on the cabinet. and I'm going to film another video of me doing the back glass. I'm going to work on the chimes a little bit, but all this is kind of minor stuff, so I don't really film it. But basically, it's the reason they sound bad is because they're not isolated well from the metal underneath them. So what you do is you replace the little rubber grommets that have all dried out. So a rubber grommet goes on each of these posts underneath the bar and above the bar. And once you do that, they're isolated, and when the thing hits it, they'll peel. It'll go ding like it's supposed to. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to clean up some more stuff. We've got a little bit of cosmetic stuff to do. I'm going to replace the skirts on the pop bumpers and things like that before I do the final video where we show off how cool this game is. So the back glass in this thing is shot. Now at first glance, if you don't know, if you haven't messed with these, you might think, well, that actually looks pretty good. But if you get close to it and start looking, this is a really famous back glass too. That's called the, what's that called? The Rendezvous in Space or something like that. Anyway, it's a really cool back glass, but this thing is flaked all over the place. So the way these back glasses are made is parts of them stay dark, like this never lights up. It's opaque. And then parts of them are transparent, not transparent, but they light up. They have like an opacity to them. And so you can see my carpet through the places that are supposed to be red. So the Space Odyssey is supposed to have red and white lines. All the red's gone. Where it says 1 up, see how you can see right through it? That's supposed to be red as well. And if you look real close, some of it's still there. Then you can see the carpet behind it. Now these windows over here, they're supposed to be clear so you can see the score reels. So this thing has major issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to paint some of that back and make it look a little better, which is going to be quite a task. So this is the first part of the video. I'll show you the back. Once you look at the back, you see that it's not quite as bad as it looks. So all of the gray area isn't supposed to light up, and of course all of that is perfectly fine. So none of that paint's missing. So the only places that are missing paint are the worst places to miss paint, which are all the areas that light up. So you've got all of your match numbers here. So let me see if I can get it to focus so you can see what's going on. See how the paint is bubbling off? It's already bubbled off there. And then you can see on the Space Odyssey part how all the red's gone, but most of the white is still there. That's going to be the hardest part to do. I haven't completely decided the best way to do that yet. I think I may just paint those completely red even over the white, because the white will still show through on the front. So we'll see. I think I may actually spray paint that part. As crazy as that sounds. Now if you're looking for like a perfect restoration of this thing, this is not the video. Go watch somebody else's. This one ain't going to end up like that, but we're going to get it nice and presentable. And then, because you know the thing's ruined, look at it. This thing is ruined. It'd be good to hang on the wall, but there's just so much damage to it, I can't hurt it anymore. The thing around the starburst there is all flaking. Various parts of the space station, or the capsule, various parts of that capsule. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to seal it so that it won't get any worse. So I'm going to basically clear coat the back of it. Now you can do that a couple different ways as it pertains to the windows here. A lot of times you can mask these off with tape, but this one's so fragile and it's flaking so much, and we've already got problems here in the white right next to the score reels. The way I'm actually going to do it is, and since it's clear coat, I'm just going to paint right over the score windows too. So I'm just going to paint everything clear coat. Now that's going to make it where it's not quite as clear, so you'll have like a kind of a Coke bottle effect a little bit through the windows on the score reels, but I don't really think that's that big of a deal. You can carefully mask it off with tape, but then you get a, whenever you remove the tape, you have a high likelihood of peeling up the black line that's all the way around it, which is actually still there on this one. So we're just going to clear coat the whole thing. Why not? Let's roll with it. Like I said, this thing is kind of a trash back glass anyways, but we're going to save it as best we can. So what I'll do is I'll do the clear coat, and I'll come back and we'll start looking at what we're going to do first. All right, folks, so we put it up in the window so you can see how we went ahead and painted the back so you can see all of the places that the light is flaking off. I mean that the paint is flaking off. So now that it's illuminated, you can see all of the numbers, or several of them, need repainted. Half of that is gone. All of the red pretty much is gone. Right? The windows are a little rough, but we may be able to leave that. The red's completely gone from that. A lot of blue gone from the 100,000 points thing. Red is gone from that. That window's largely flaked. A lot of that, which I believe that may have been red originally too. I don't know. I'll have to look online. Maybe it was white. A lot of that's gone. A lot of little parts of the shuttles are missing. So now it becomes kind of a paint by numbers thing. Like I said, this isn't going to end up perfect. So it's kind of a useless back glass right now. So however much better we can get it will work out good. And then here is the back. If you let the light hit it just right, you can see where I clear coated it with triple thick. That basically just gets it where it won't flake anymore. Gets it nice and flat. And one thing I wanted to show you, like I said, you can on the score windows, you can tape that off very carefully, but you can also just paint right over it. Now it's clear, so you can still see through it, but as you can see, it has kind of you know, it ripples a little bit, but pretty much it stays pretty clear. Now I painted right over that, so you're looking right through the paint right now. But it's pretty. It makes it a little bit. Wish I had a better way to show you. Let's see. Let's carry it over here, or maybe we can see with the. Maybe we can see with the carpet behind it. No, not really. I'd like to have a good way to illustrate that to you. Okay, here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. Why halfway do it? Set the camera down. We'll slide the glass back up in the game. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See my point? You can still see them just fine. No big deal. So a lot of people go through the trouble of taping that off. There is a slight difference. It's not quite as clear as it should be. But all in all, it looks just fine. So what I'm going to do first, but let me get the glass back out. I'll show you the first thing I'm going to attempt and the sacrilegious way that I'm going to do it. The part that bothers me the most about it is that the red is missing on the Space Odyssey. All those black lines should be red, and this Williams should be red, and this background here should be red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to do it the proper way. And it's not really, you don't have to tape all that off, because if you get red paint right here, you'll never see it because this gray doesn't light up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tape. I'm going to tape off that the top line and just spray paint it red. Now if you had an airbrush would be the best, but I don't have an airbrush. And also another way you could do it is if I paint it in with a brush, you're going to see every little stroke. And you'll see that on some of this, because some of this I'll have to paint in with a brush, but you'll see every little stroke from where I painted it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray paint it. Now you could just block off this and just spray paint that whole area. But what that would do is everywhere that it's white, it would make it pink. So I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to try to tape it off just for giggles and see how that works out. And I might be able to tape it, like leave the top open and like one of the ones on the bottom, so I can do 2 at a time or something like that, but we'll see. But we'll try that first, and I'll tape it off and I'll hit it with some spray paint, which, like I said, is sacrilegious, but the damn thing's destroyed, people. I'm trying to make it look good, okay? I'm gonna spray paint it. If you don't like it, turn off the video. Be back in a minute. Alright folks, so I was going to do a completely separate video about the back glass, but I decided I'd just put it on the end of this repair video because it ended up being not as detailed as I thought, because I didn't do as much as I thought I was going to do. So basically this back glass had all kinds of areas where it was flaked, and so after sealing it, I just decided that there was no way I was going to be able to paint all that stuff back in no matter what I did. So I did the old trick where I just spray painted it. So basically what you do is you just kind of block off the areas and do the best you can. So, you know, of course, where all this was missing, I just blocked it all off and then spray painted it red. And so the white that's in front of it, like, you know, this should be white, but it came out pink because the light is shining through red and white. But it looks pretty good. You kind of get the same effect if you put LEDs or something really bright behind it. You get the same kind of thing going on, except you wouldn't have the pink thing, but it has a real kind of vivid color. Now, somebody that knows anything about these would be able to look at it and say, oh, you spray painted the back of it. So I spray painted that red. I spray painted in some of the blue, but you've got areas like this where basically all of the definition of the number's gone. So that should say 10 right now, but you can't really even tell what it is. That's on the match. Like I was talking about before, this back glass was shot, so I didn't have very many options. But I got it nice and red again, which is, you know, part of the, you want the title to at least look pretty decent. There were areas like around the score reels like that I didn't even attempt to repaint. You would have to mask off each box and then paint that all back white to get it just right. You know, we've got to weigh out our options here about, even if I did that, the value of the back glass wouldn't be any more, and it wouldn't really help the game out that much more, and it would take me a heck of a lot more time. So we opted not to do that. We did the same thing down here with the blue, where it says game over. It's pretty much, you can't even read it, and again, the reason is because most of the stuff that defined those letters had already flaked off. But at least the main problem you have whenever you have flaking spots is you can see the bulbs through the paint. So if you can see the bulbs, it just looks horrible. But if you can get color back on it, it makes it look a lot better. And whenever you've got a really busy picture like this anyways, whenever you've got some little flaked things, your eye doesn't even really go to it. Now again, I'm trying to put a disclaimer on this over and over and over again. This thing was already shot, so I didn't really have that many options. So on the areas that light up like the star, I mean the sun, and then there were all kinds of little flaked holes all over both of these, right? So what we did was, of course, we cleared the whole back glass so it wouldn't flake any worse, and then behind the parts that light up like this and the entire, they're not, I keep calling them shuttles, they're not shuttles, it's like it's a pod, right? Is that a good way of putting it? It's a pod. The American pod, and I believe that's the Russian spacecraft, and the two docked together in space around this time. But you can see, like where the flag is here, see how the red had like almost completely flaked off? 70% of the red, maybe 80% of the red was gone, right? So instead of attempting to paint every little thing back in, and it's like that on every color, what I did was, to hide the light bulbs, I just masked it all off, and the parts that illuminate, I spray painted like a cream color on the back. And it made it where now you can't see the light bulbs through it, and it's still thin enough that the light can shine through it. And so it filled in all of the little areas that were missing paint with just like a cream colored paint. I would say white, but it's not white. I had like a off-white, so it looks a little better actually. If you put white, it would kind of stand out a little bit. Same thing up there. In some places, it actually looks like it might even be designed that way, like this, right? Of course it's not, and anybody that has seen this game would know that, but you know, you stand back here to play. That's about where you're standing to play. Hell, you can't tell, yeah. It looks decent, it's presentable. And someone can buy a reproduction one or something if they'd like. But as we talked about earlier, this game wasn't in perfect shape anyways. On the front, where we had the problem where it was the plywood was coming apart, what we did was we took off the top, or some of the top of that, bondoed it up to get the cabinet nice and solid again, and then repainted just the front. The sides were actually still pretty good. So I just thought I'd show a little video showing how the back glass ended up, and talk about a little bit about how we did that. So if you've enjoyed the video, this is a really long one, but if you've enjoyed the video, let us know. If you didn't enjoy the video, you can let us know too, but we might not read it. And make sure to thumbs up the video. Subscribe to us here on YouTube if you like videos like this. We put new ones up all the time, and we will see you on the next video.